Hi everybody, welcome back to the Snake Pit. Today I've got an exciting video because today we're actually going into the individual hero breakdowns that I told you about way back in my first video. So I'm very excited that we're going to start this because we just completed doing all the different war types as far as healer's focus goes. And so now we're starting with the to show what the effectiveness of a team is with a specific hero in a specific position in a specific war type is. So I've got some great data. This first one, obviously, if you've seen the thumbnail, you know that we're going to be talking about Alfrike. In my first video for the year-long war study, I actually put out a little challenge towards the end. I put up the stats of a hero, called it a mystery hero, and then invited you to put a comment and guess who the mystery hero is. Yeah, it is Alfrike after all. 3 people actually got it, so I'm going to give props to, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce this, Abeja Kibuka. There's Dom Foster and Nevermore. You 3 got it bang on. It wasn't so difficult, but kudos to you anyway. All right, so let's just go to it. I'm not going to go hard into what this hero does. You've all seen lots of videos already about what Alfrike does, so we're not going to go into that into detail because we want to get into the nuts and bolts for why you're here with me, and that is to see the stats from the year-long war study and see where Alfrike excels and maybe where she doesn't. So we are going to touch very quickly on the card. So when you look at it, yeah, the stats, low attack and high defense. That's what this is how Alfrike is built, and that's why she makes a great tank for the most part, is because she can take that hit. And then although she is considered an attacking hero. She fires off 5 cubes that do 200% damage each to random enemies. This is not where she excels, so it's not a bad thing that the attack stat is low, because her bread and butter is the effects that those cubes do. So there's 5 of them. They're random. So if there's only one hero left on the other side, it's eating all 5. There's no way about it. And to be honest, she seems to spread them around. Even though they're random, she often hits multiple targets. But that's just me saying it. I don't have data on that. So these 5 random cubes, they reduce the max health of the target by 224, and it casts mindless attack for 3 turns. That is where it's devastating. That is the devastating part of why Alfrike is so great. It's not the damage, it's because it wastes the specials on the other team, and saves yours from eating those. So like I said, we won't go deep into this. That's just a quick overview. If you want more, go see some of those other sites. Check out the card. Check out your own roster deck in your phone, in your own game. But let's get right to it, because I know that some people are pretty excited, and that's why I handpicked Alfrike as the first one, is that she's largely considered the Queen of Rush. And I don't think that's being disputed by anybody. But is she also the queen of other things? Well, let's take a look. Okay, so here we are. Slightly different screens than what you've seen in my war type videos, because we're actually just talking about the one hero here. And what you're seeing, I'm going to go through each war type and how the hero does. So in this case, Alfrike. And you see there's like a radar graph in the center. You got tank at the top, wing on the bottom right, and flank on the bottom left. The blue lines that you see is where Alfrike fits in. The scale, of course, is by survivability rate. The orange triangle, the orange lines, is where the survival the average survivability rate sits for this war type. So you can kind of judge and see it visually where this hero excels in this war type. So looking at this one, right away it jumps out at you. Alfrike does a great job as a tank. It is way higher than the average for the for what Arrow Barrage normally gives, and a little bit closer to the average with flank and tank. And now on the right hand side, you're going to see a table that I put as well. So you got tank, flank, wing. Okay, and then I've got the average. That's the average. That's the survivability rate for Alfrike. I'm using the same kind of color coding as before, except for the yellow. For the war types, remember I used 1% either side of the average survivability rate. I'd leave it yellow. I'm doing 2% on this one. There's such a much larger disparity between heroes. So yellow is 2% on either side of the war average survivability rate. Green is anything higher. Red, of course, is going to be lower. And if you forget all this, just remember, yellow is going to be kind of normal. Green means go, red means stop. So we can see right away as a tank, Alfrike does fantastic in Arrow Barrage, and this is not a rush war. So average kind of in the other areas. You'll see another column in my table for used, how many times the hero's been used. And I'll say this maybe in the first couple of heroes that I'm going to do, but it's hard to rate and place heroes that haven't been used much. So often enough, if a hero's been used 1 or 2 times, that score could be sky high or really low, and the hero isn't deserving of that score. So honestly, by the time you get to about 20 is where things really start to settle in my mind. In this case, for heroes, I'm going with 10, and that gives us an idea. Of course, it can shift from there. There are so many heroes that have less than 10 in some cases, and I'm taking them out of the equation because it's just not reliable enough data. So for tank, in this case, for Alfrike and Arrow Barrage, it was only used 9 times. Almost at 10, but I'm not rating it. But what I did want to highlight here in that third column is the rank of Alfrike's rank against all heroes that have been used 10 times. That 5 out of 31. So if I took the 9s in as well with the 10s, so if my cutoff was at 9 instead of 10, she'd rank 5 out of 31 at tank, which is pretty darn good for a tournament that doesn't speed up their mana. She's a very slow hero. And then she's average for the others. You'll notice as well that on the wing, she's used 52 times. That is the 5th most used hero on the wing out of 165 heroes that were used in that position. 5th. This is how common Alfrike shows up. So Arrow Barrage should be useful in each position, but at tank, so far, so good. More data can be needed though, but out of 9 times, did pretty well. We're going to move to attack boost now. As we can see on this one, at flank, she's pretty average, but at tank and at wing is extremely effective. Used almost 20 times at least at tank and flank, 52 at the wing in this case, and that's the 9th most used in this war type on the wing out of 170 heroes that were used there. So she's quite popular again, does very well. So ranks 4th out of 28 teams that were used of 4th out of 28 heroes that were used at least 10 times at tank. So once again, we're seeing strong performance at tank, even when it's not a rush war. Now we'll move on to Undead Horde. And we see that it's there's a dip here, right? This is the first time that we really see the blue line really coming in under the average for the war type. So Alfrike is red, and it's the only place where Alfrike is red out of this of all the war types. For some reason, does not do well, and that's 20 occurrences there at tank. At flank gets a little bit better; it's close to average, and then a stronger showing out at the wing. She gets better the further she goes out in this war type, and that's why it's important to look at each war type for heroes and not just assign a simple rating, because the mechanics of the rules for each war can change the effectiveness of a hero. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible other than the tank one. Could be a valuable tool in this war type. But there are better ones, that's for sure. If you look at these rankings, barely holding on to top third on the wing. And by the way, for the colors on the ranking, red means the bottom third of heroes in the ranking. Yellow would be the middle third, and green would be the top third. Is barely hanging into the top third, so there's a lot of heroes that can do better as on the wing than Alfrike, but still strong showing. Equalizer. So let's go to Equalizer, and again, the blue triangle is almost completely outside of the orange one. This shows us that Alfrike is very strong at tank and at wing. It is a decent selection for flank as well. Now tank, she's only been used 11 times, but it's enough for my cutoff, and ranks 3rd out of 27 heroes that have been used at least 10 times in that spot in this war type, which is pretty darn good. 34.6% average survivability rate at tank, and the average is 27.6. So head and shoulders above the average hero in this spot. I think an Equalizer, and obviously it's not a mana speed boost that is helping Alfrike do well, but what I'm seeing is this strong showing at tank often, and of course on the wing, because then she's got lots of time to build up, is that in particularly in the Equalizer, those cubes, so the mindless attack, which in my opinion is the most devastating part of her special, it lasts for 3 turns. So there's a good chance that you could last the whole thing. And by the time that the Equalizer comes around, it might have been just ending anyways. She's still very effective in this war type. Okay, obviously this is the one that people obviously are not going to be shocked by, but probably love to see these numbers, is the rush war. So in every single category, Alfrike is creme de la creme. She is top notch, top shelf. Look at the numbers. I mean, rush already has 34% survivability rate, and she does at least 15-20% more in each of these categories. So it's not surprising. Look at the rank for out of the heroes that have been used in these positions at least 10 times. 2nd out of 27 for tank, 1st out of 72 for flank, 1st out of 60 at the wing. You can put Alfrike in every single position, and she's going to do a fantastic job. This isn't fluky either. Look at the amount of times that Alfrike's been used. So that's no small sample at either of these positions. And I guess, the only question you may have rolling your head is, well, if Alfrike's not number one at tank, who is? I'd be really curious to see if anybody can guess who it is. And I am certain that you'll be shocked about who it is. And this hero that actually came in first there, I won't give too much away, but it was only used 20 times. And, well, I say only 20 times is double my cutoff. It's significant enough to settle in, and is 10% higher than second place, which is Alfrike. So if you have an idea, throw it in the comments. Okay, so that's the 5 different war types. Here we are now at the overall. This is a combination of all war types. The average survivability rate for a hero, 29.7% at any position. Look at Alfrike. Green all over, hard green, and some extremely high numbers for rankings. At tank, second best out of 77 heroes that were used at least 10 times as the tank. 5th for flank, and that's out of 136. And at wing, there's 131 heroes, ranked 16th for the amount of times used. I know what you're thinking. Most of these were used in rush. Rush accounts for 238 times used. If we take that away, Alfrike was actually used 300 times in the other war types. So Alfrike is not only used in rush. In fact, Alfrike has been used more outside of rush than in rush. So keep that in mind and look at the stats. It's a beautiful thing. So out of 263 heroes that were observed over my year-long study, Alfrike was actually used the 9th most, despite not even being there for the whole time. So that's pretty amazing. There's only 2 heroes that were more popular at tank than Alfrike. So be prepared to keep seeing more Alfrike. If you have Alfrike and you're thinking of using her, then obviously she's good in almost all cases and all positions. Thank you for joining me again. It was fun to go over and actually see the stats on a single hero and how teams perform with this hero in different spots. Alfrike is clearly an awesome hero. And if you don't have her, you should be pursuing her. If you have her, you should be using her. Let me know what you think of this style of reporting for you guys. Do you like the graphs? Do you like anything? Is there anything you don't like? Throw it in the comments. I threw out a challenge to guess who the number 1 tank would be in rush. Take a crack at it. And by all means, if you do like my videos and you want to see more of this, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell as well so that you get notifications when these come out. I'm going to keep pushing these out as soon as possible now that I've got pretty much a good layout of what I want to do for reporting on the heroes. And stay tuned, of course, for my other projects about mana speed and the different types of hitters as well. Anyways, thanks again for coming. I'm Ssnake, and I'm here to help you defend yourself.